Welcome to Speed Scene Live TV, the only show dedicated to the sportsman racer. Brought to you by Curry Rear Ends, Hedman Hustler Headers, M&H Tires, Aeromotive Fuel Systems, and TheFote.com. With your hosts, Diana Might, Bruce Barker, Scott Lucky Hudson, Alex Rogio, Bob Beck, Bryant Layton, with Donnie Couch and Dar Hawthorne.
And here we go. It's Speed Scene Live, and welcome to another edition. You do realize, Alex the Car Girl Rogio, that we are now... Already,
I'm over here.
Already, I'm wondering what camera where. It's already December, which means there's...
I can't believe it.
How many more Speed Scene Live episodes? Maybe 3.
When do we stop airing shows?
Yeah, it ends on the 23rd.
Okay,
and
then
we
again.
come back. Yeah, there's a month hiatus, and then we come back. That hiatus is one of those showbiz words they always use.
Oh,
well, you know, MASH is on hiatus for retooling. MASH? What decade am I on?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the show. I would be that Bruce Barker guy that the credits guy mentioned, and Alex the Car Girl Rogio. After
back.
a whirlwind world tour, you're back.
Yes, it's been quite a couple of months.
I know we're going to talk all about that and see where you've been and what's been going on and whatnot. In fact, maybe we can just start at the start. What in the world? For instance, you guys had to even make the hike here to the studio from parts unknown because you've just been everywhere in the last few weeks.
Yeah, we just got home from the last big long trip. I think it was last night. Yeah, last night.
It does blend together.
After the last show that I was on, we've had 10 events that we've gone to. First was the PSCA final race, points race of the year, and we ended up third in the points. We went into the last race in first place and ended up in third. Basically, race day came along. We were feeling great. We needed to turn on 6 wind lights, and we only turned on 4.
Man!
And that's just the way racing goes, you know?
Ain't that the way?
It's okay, though. We're happy with where the car ended up at the end of the season. We worked really hard. And congrats to Larry Pittenger for winning the Street Muscle Championship.
Indeed. Now, was that the last time the car was on the track, or have you been doing some testing and stuff since then?
Since then, we've raced actually 2 more times. We just raced recently at Streetcar Super Nationals in Las Vegas, and that was a huge race. Tons of pro mods, lots of heads-up racing, little tire classes. We went a couple of rounds in 2 classes, but just some bad luck we've had this year, and literally we were at the track 14 days in a row. We went right from that race to Thanksgiving brackets, where I raced 2 cars, one the Magnum in Pro and the little Super Comp Altered in Super Pro, and that was a challenge for me. I've never raced 2 cars before in one race, and it was a very busy day. There was not a whole lot of waiting around in the pits for your call, because as soon as you're out of one car, you're back in the other one. So
that's sort of a whole lot of getting your mind wrapped around the extreme differences between the two, huh?
Yes, and what was interesting was that it was 2 different trees. So I was leaving in the Magnum, I was leaving on the bottom bulb. And in the Altered, I was leaving on the top bulb.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, but it was not as confusing as I expected it to be.
Yeah. So I know we probably got words to say about improvements and new gadgetry in terms of I shouldn't even put it that way on the Dodge, on the Magnum. The Altered, now you're driving that. Tell us a bit of the backstory for those who hadn't known that you were driving an Altered at this point, because I think you announced this on maybe the last episode that you were kind of veering that way.
Yeah, I've been racing that car since April of this past year.
It's not this Cadillac, by the way.
No, that's not it. The man who owns the car is a guy named Dick Krieger, Richard Krieger, and he's been racing for a couple of decades, and he asked me if I wanted to drive his car, and I've done a couple of Super Comp races. I've done some Super Pro races in the Summit Series, and it goes low 8 seconds in the quarter mile. I'm sure if we opened it wide open and ran it at low altitude, it would probably do maybe even high 7s. So it's a pretty fast car. It's extremely light, and it's a completely different car than the Magnum. Everyone always asks me which one I like driving more, and I don't have an answer to that, because what do you like more, apples or oranges? They're just so different, you can't even compare them. But
Well, you mentioned light, too. The Altered, of course, being that way because it's a purpose-built race car, whereas the Magnum was built into a race car. It's much heavier, isn't it? Way heavier.
Yeah, the Magnum, it's funny, somebody was saying, like, wow, that car must weigh at least 3,500 pounds. And I said, I wish it weighed that little. It weighs north of 4280. So, yeah, the Altered, I think, is 1850 with me in it. So,
Man.
It's a different world. Completely different world.
Wow, that is amazing. So anyway, back to the present in terms of the event you were at. It's a PSCA,
Yep.
and from then on, I think you were talking about a couple other races that the Magnum was in.
Yes, we did the Streetcar Super Nationals and the Las Vegas Bracket Nationals, which is a really, really big money race. And if anybody's ever heard of that, I've never seen so many races won by such little margin. It's like, especially in the Super Pro class, it's like insane how good you got to be able to go rounds in that class. And it was a very, you gotta have your confidence with you for a race like that, because some people are there to win some money, and if you're not ready for that, you're gonna get your butt whooped.
Yeah, money speaks.
Yep, sure
Yeah.
does. So we got some photos, right?
Yeah, hey, let's take a look at some of those. Now, I think we're just going to kind of, run the gamut here, as they say, in
let's do
terms
that.
of, where we're going with it. So, first, let's start right here with this one.
This is a cute little girl named Mallory, who's the daughter of Mel Roth, who runs PSCA, and Heather is her mother. And this was actually on Halloween. That's why she's dressed like that.
I was gonna
and
say,
she's
man.
such a cute little girl. I love kids, and every time I see her, I just gotta. I was there when she was a really, really small baby, and now she's a year and a half or something like that. So, yeah, that was at the the Las Vegas National, the NHRA National in Las Vegas in October. So,
I don't know, man.
race.
That might be might be something to consider in the future for a fire suit. Maybe.
yeah, they should start making leopard print fire suits. Yeah. I should talk to Simpson about that.
Yeah, there you go.
So, okay, this is kind of a fun story. I got to go to the the SEMA Awards banquet at this past SEMA show. And if anybody's ever been, I don't know if you know much about that, but the key companies in the industry are invited to this awards banquet, and different people in the industry get awards for, a variety of different things.
Yeah.
I got to go with Hedman Performance Group, which just happens to be a member of SEMA for a long time. So they get a front row seat at this awards banquet, and there's thousands of people there.
And, of course, Hedman, a proud sponsor of Speed Scene Live.
Yes, thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
So I was sitting literally 30 feet from the MC, who just happens to be Sinbad. And that's Sinbad up there.
Holy cow!
And I was a kid. I used to watch him all the time, and I'm like, wow, this is cool. So he asked the audience if anybody was a female race car driver, and of course everyone at the table is doing this.
Of course.
Pointing to me. So he starts talking to me, and they put me on the screen a couple of times, and I was like, are we at the Oscars or what? It literally felt like, being on stage at the automotive version of the Oscars. Let's put it that way.
Accepting the award for
Dave McClellan was the host, was the other host. So that's very close to how we talk.
unbelievable.
He's he did a great job.
That's right. Yeah,
announcer.
Dave's got that big old voice, and
Yes.
it goes like that. And accepting the award. Yeah. How about that? So
It was a very surreal moment. It was fun. It was
yeah,
cool.
and congrats to would that be Crew Chief Richard who captured this photo with you on
Yes,
screen?
he was sitting next to me, and he just happened to take out his cell phone. That was brilliant of him. I'm so glad, because I sure as heck wasn't going to go in my purse and be on screen digging in my purse trying to take a picture. So
Yeah, and plus once you're on screen, then you'd see yourself in the background there with your phone up, pointed at
Right,
it.
yeah,
That
like,
would
come
just be
on.
too crazy.
no, silly.
Hey, what are these fine-looking Dodges?
Man, I got to do some cool test driving when I I got to go to Michigan earlier this month, or last month, and Richard and I got to test some vehicles at Chrysler for the magazine.
Like Chrysler, the
Chrysler headquarters in Michigan. And a gentleman by the name of Nick Kappa met us here, and we got to test drive these trucks, the Power Wagon, the 1500 RT, and I believe that is the EcoDiesel Ram. So that was a great day. And the best part about this whole day, other than test driving these awesome trucks, which I'll get to, was that we were in the parking lot at Chrysler. So Hellcat after Hellcat was driving by.
Man.
They would interrupt our conversation. We'd all just stop talking and listen and see what new car. And some of them had, the camouflage paint so that you couldn't tell what the body was. And
nice.
I'm just like, what are we going to see that nobody knows about? Come on.
Holy
show us something
cow.
cool.
Wow, you were right there. And while it's kind of tough to see on your screen, it's that's you in the big Power Wagon. I'm assuming.
I don't know if I'm sitting in it then, but I'm sitting in it in the next picture, I think.
All right, let's take a look.
Yeah, there I am. Richard took that from his rearview mirror. That was we got to drive them long test drives on the freeway, got to see how they got up to speed. This truck is very off-road focused.
Would you compare it to maybe? Would it be maybe? Sorry to interrupt. Like the F-150 Raptor, that sort of thing, where everything is very beefy and
similar to that. This is like you can basically take this truck from the factory and go off-road with it. It has a built-in winch. It has this. I can't even think of all the specs right now, but it has a differential that's excellent for rock climbing and things like that.
Wow.
So it's the best truck you can get from the factory that you can just drive it from the factory to your favorite trail and be fine.
Isn't it weird that years ago, you for a very short time until the insurance companies caught up, as we all know, what are called now muscle cars, but a lot of those and a lot of the racing variants of those cars, they were straight out of the box, right from the dealership. You go racing with a lot of those vehicles. It's been a lot of years since, you can say that some of the newer cars are prepped with huge horsepower engines, which is true, but they're still kind of boulevard cars. They're cruiser cars. They're not really built for the strip, for the track. But here we have a truck that's purpose-built to, hit the off-road.
Yes. Yeah, cars these days they've got to be, they're subjected to so many different demands, you know? They can't be perfect for the track all the time, but, just like the Magnum, we worked so hard at taking that car from a street car to making it into a race car. It can't do everything.
And I guess, technically, you'd say it's still in progress, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's always in progress. You're never settled with anything.
Yeah. Hey, so this building looks, we see the Chrysler 5-point star at the top there.
Chrysler building. It was a gorgeous fall day. It was, I forget how gorgeous it is in East Coast states in the fall. You don't get that here in Southern California anymore. The leaves are just turning now, and it's December 2nd.
That's true. Although I guess that does mean you sort of miss some of those crazy, really cold snaps and storms.
Oh,
and stuff.
Of course. Yeah, there's definite advantages to living here in the winter, but And of course, now it's not just Chrysler, it's Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, in case anybody missed that press release.
Yeah.
Probably
1000 Chrysler Drive. Hey, you know what? I know we got to get a break out of the way here because there's some interview materials. There's
got some cool tech coming up.
Yeah,
yes.
Who are we going to be talking really briefly so we can tease it for later in the show?
We got a tire tech video coming up from a gentleman that works for Mickey Thompson. Really, really cool tips for storing your tires over the winter, so stay tuned.
Nice. Speed Scene Live. Keep it right here.
I'm Robert Height, driver of the Auto Club Ford Mustang Funny Car, and you're watching Speed Scene Live.
At Aeromotive, we believe that performance means reliability, longevity, and durability. Being the best is no secret. By utilizing aerospace processes, procedures, technology, in-house engineering, true applications knowledge, and 3 generations of track experience, it's easy to see why we're the best. We take great pride in the fact that everything we sell, we design and make in the USA. See our entire line of fuel pumps and related products by logging on to aeromotiveinc.com. Aeromotive. We know it, we race it, we live it.
60 years. That's a long time for a company to do any one thing. Doing it right while sticking to your founding values. Now that takes hard work and dedication. For 60 years, Hedman's All-American workforce has been devoted to manufacturing the very best headers any team of craftsmen can build. That's 60 years of cutting, 60 years of bending, 60 years of welding, more than 2 million in all. And every set made right here at home. At Hedman Headers, we build all American horsepower, then back it up for life. Hedman Headers, made in the USA.
I am Randy Walls, and when I'm not on fire, I watch Speed Scene Live.
Welcome back to Speed Scene Live TV, the #1 online drag racing TV show. Brought to you by Curry Rear Ends, M&H Tires, Hedman Hustler Headers, Aeromotive Fuel Systems, and theFoat.com.
Hello! I used to work with a guy in radio who used to say that. Hello, and how do you do? His name was Evan Roberts. Where are you, Evan Roberts?
Oh, he's watching.
Yeah, he's watching right now.
He watches still.
Yeah, hey, that would be Alex Roggio.
Hey.
And we're just recapping and catching up and all the words that mean, holy cow, we've been so out of touch for 5 weeks, and we're catching up. So we've got an interview lined up here.
Yes, we talked to Jason, who is a product development manager, I believe, from Mickey Thompson, just about general tire tech tips, storing your tires over winter, and there's some really, really cool information for racers in here. So,
all right, let's take a look.
I'm Alex Roggio, and today I'm here with Jason Moulton, who is the product development manager at Mickey Thompson. How you doing today, Jason?
I'm doing great. We're out in Las Vegas, and you know, a day at the racetrack's much better than a day in the office.
And you get the awesome view of seeing all the cars come down the track after they're done, so that's pretty cool. All right, so today I want to talk about some general stuff about tires.
Okay.
In drag racing, getting your traction to the ground is one of the most important things about winning, because it doesn't matter how much horsepower you make or what car you drive, you got to get your power to the ground.
Absolutely.
So what can you tell me about the best way to make your tires last the longest and get consistent traction?
Okay, well, I mean, I can answer it in one sentence, but really it's taking care of your tires and they'll take care of you. So we do offer a lot of technical bulletins on how to take care of your tires on our website. So I encourage people to go there, but to get a little more specific, one of the common things is air pressure. Some people will leave their tires, run flat, sit flat in the garage. They don't really monitor their air pressure too much at the racetrack. So we really encourage people between rounds and actually in the staging lanes to take care of your air pressure. So making sure your air pressure is consistent. Check your air gauges from time to time as well. So that's the first thing regarding air pressure in your tires. That keeps consistency. If you've got consistent air pressure, you got a better chance for consistent tires. Regarding burnouts, a lot of people tend to overdo burnouts, and I'll tell you, I do it myself just because, you know what, burnouts are fun. I mean, everybody loves to do a burnout, but lessening the burnout will help your tires last long as well. It's one of those things where on a cold racetrack you'll want to do a longer burnout because the ambient temperature of the compound's a little low. So do a longer burnout when the conditions are cold, kind of like it is today in Vegas. Now if we were here yesterday, it was 82 degrees, I would say lessen the burnout a little bit because the ambient temperature of the compound's already up there.
You mentioned tire temperature. I've heard from a couple of different sources that your tires should be anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees above track temperature. Does that sound like a good, accurate?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good rule of thumb. But quite honestly, not everybody has a tire temperature gauge, I hear. Again, kind of adjusting your burnout a little bit to the ambient conditions helps go a long way. If you are measuring tire temperatures, it's always good to do it after the burnout, obviously, as close to staging in the car as possible if you have a teammate with you. Measure from the center and measure the outside edges as well, but typically you'll see a pretty consistent temperature across the tire.
Okay, and would you say that racers tend to do a little bit too much burnout or not enough?
Typically they'll do a little bit too much burnout because, going back to what I said earlier, they're just fun to do. And some people just, if it gives them a feel of a little extra insurance doing a longer burnout, all you're really trying to do is clean the tread off. I've seen some people too, let's say there's a breakdown in front of you after you've done your burnout, they'll back up and do another one. It's really not necessary. I've seen cars sit as long as 5 minutes without doing a burnout and going down the racetrack just fine.
Can you talk a little bit about what is actually occurring in the tire during a burnout?
Yeah, again, really, you're cleaning off the tread. So if you've ever driven around the pits, you're picking up rocks and stones and things like that. So you're cleaning off the surface of that compound, getting down to the clean, fresh rubber underneath. Yes, it does put temperature in it, but that's a byproduct of the burnout. The temperature does elevate the compound and make it a little sticky, a little tacky, but really the whole purpose is just to clean the tire off. We've seen some radio cars out here, very, very light burnouts. You'll hardly see any smoke come off the tire. So the smoke is kind of an indicator that the tread is now down to a clean surface. It's kind of an indicator of that, but that's all you're really trying to do is just clean it off and get down to that fresh rubber.
So would you say that having a lot of smoke is not necessarily a good thing?
Yeah, having a lot of smoke, it could be a bad thing if you're on a hot racetrack and you're doing really long burnouts. All you're doing is you're starting to get the tire too hot where it can get, the compound get a little slimy, I'll say. It doesn't really look that way, but it'll get a little slimy and it really doesn't do any good for helping your tires live longer or help your consistency at all.
As you mentioned earlier, we are in Vegas. It's just the beginning of November, so the off season is coming up. Can you give some general tips about storing your tires over the winter and then bringing them back out of storage in the spring?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to my earlier comment about taking care of your tires. Don't let the car sit on flat tires all winter long. It doesn't help the tire at all. If you can, take the tires off the car. Get the weight off the tire. If you do store the tires on the car and it is on the ground, try to keep it off the concrete. Just put a piece of carpet underneath it. That kind of helps the compound throughout the winter. Put more air pressure in it than you normally run at the racetrack. And that is one tip. Even when you're traveling or not using the tires, put a little bit more air pressure in them just for traveling or storage or anything like that. Keep some air pressure in the tire. That helps maintain a nice profile. That helps the tire itself, the construction of the tire, stay happy, as we'll call it. But yeah, in the wintertime, keep them away from high electrical, high heat sources. That doesn't help the compounds in the tire. So just, again, try to take care of your tires and they'll take care of you.
And what about the first burnout of the year? Is that something that you can do differently? Like, a lot of people say that you need to clean a lot of rubber off because it gets oxidized for sitting so long. Do you do an extra long burnout first?
Well, I always do because I'm excited to get back out to the racetrack. But yeah, I mean, first time out for the season, for a lot of folks it is a little cooler out. So again, long burnouts won't hurt it, just to kind of break the tires in and you'll be ready to go.
Cool. So Jason, we're standing in front of a pretty unique race product from Mickey Thompson. Can you tell us a little bit about this tire?
Yeah, this is our Bubba tire.
Okay, what's with the name Bubba? Well, how did that come about?
Well, a few years ago, we were in St. Louis, actually at a restaurant, thinking of different ways to develop tires for big tire cars. And we were watching a lot of the evolution with our 10.5 Outlaw racers and what they were doing, and just the phenomenal performance going on in that class. And I kind of sat down with a piece of paper and started jotting down some ideas. And really, the Bubba tire, we just kind of code-named it just for a fun name for the whole project. It's a different way of thinking. And where Bubba came from is we do a lot of product development with Billy Glidden. And he had a bird named Bubba. So we asked Billy, hey, can we use Bubba for this project since we'll be doing a lot of development work for you? And quite ironically, the name stuck, and now people don't use the part number, they just call and ask him for the Bubba tires. Yeah, it's actually pretty comical. But It is something very near and dear to our hearts. Really, it's a philosophy of taking the tire, a big tire, and making a tire for the application. Not just necessarily a tire that's existing or looking at what's already out there. Let's make a tire for the application. And when we look at the Bubba philosophy, what we're trying to do is make a tire that stays around and really tries to resist tire shake, but puts enough traction to the ground. A lot of the 10.5 Outlaw racers were taking narrow tires and putting them on really wide rims. Well, that's kind of where this went. We narrowed up the tread, gave it some compounds and some construction to absorb the power that we needed to absorb on the starting line, but really help the tire stay round. So that's really where the Bubba came from. These are the big brothers of our 10.5 Outlaw tires.
So these are primarily for heads-up Outlaw 10.5 cars?
Well, that's kind of where it started, but something funny started happening. We had some guys with dragsters put them on, and they noticed how smooth the tire was and how consistent the tire was. So we've really grown in like the top dragster and top sportsman, and actually this year we have a Super Gas champion on one of our Bubba tires. So we're pretty proud of where it's gone. They're really they're starting to trickle down into all applications. Super Gas, we got a lot of guys running them Super Comp, some fast bracket cars, top sportsman, top dragster, Pro Mod, Outlaw Pro Mods. We're really starting to gain some market in this.
How many sizes do you currently have in this tire?
Well, we have the Bubba and the Bubba Grande. The Bubba is actually a 34 by 13.5 16W, and then the Bubba Grande is a 35 by 15 16. So, but we do have 3 part numbers. The little Bubba, the 34-inch tire, I know it's funny. We've got 2 part numbers. We've got an X5 compound and an X8 compound. The X8 compound we really bought out for the throttle stop and some of the dragster and Super Gas applications.
So does it have to do with the way they come back off from the throttle stop? What does that have to do with this tire? Is it specially designed for that?
Sure. Well, the X8 compound is a little more forgiving when it comes to the throttle stop applications. So again, going for that consistency, which everybody's seeking, that's why we brought that compound out. And just because it went softer, we actually found that racers are getting 250 to 300 runs out of them.
That's a lot. What's specifically different about this tire? Is it the construction, the sidewall?
Okay. Well, I can't give away all my secrets, but as I alluded to earlier, this is really a big brother of our 10.5 tires. That being said, we certainly had to make some changes to the construction and the compounds on the tire. We probably made, I'll say, close to 30 different specs and probably spent about a year and a half testing this tire before we released it to the market. But it's really a philosophy of the construction, working very well with the compound, making sure the compound's aggressive enough to get off the starting line, keeping the construction stiff enough to keep the tire around, and that in conjunction with the wheel widths that people are using really makes for a nice package. If people watch these tires work, they always stay really round, and you rarely see people just go out and shake them. If they do shake, they just flutter a little bit, but they're able to drive through it. So that's a big positive. One of the big feedbacks we get from our dragster racers is that tire is the smoothest tire we've ever gone down the racetrack on. And when we hear that, we're definitely happy about it, and they're consistent.
Jason, I want to thank you so much. I really, really appreciate all your information, and I'm sure all the racers watching this are going to really appreciate it too.
Well, you're quite welcome, and thank you for the opportunity, and well, can't wait for everybody to see what's coming next.
More to come.
Well, and that holds true as well for Speed Scene Live. I tell you what, Alex Roggio, that was interesting in a number of ways. For one, of course, being that I think you mentioned as the interview was rolling that Jason is an engineer, he's a tire expert, he's a racer, all the above.
Yeah, that's pretty cool when you get somebody that is part of the development of the tire, but also gets to go out and use it the way that it's meant to be used. So he gets the best of both worlds, and he had a lot of information about everything about tires that you could ever think about asking. He knew the answer, so that was really cool.
I didn't even know, we were talking about, a couple of the things like leaving your tires near or not near an electrical panel because of the ozone in the air, parking a tire. This applies, of course, to street cars as well, whether you park it on the cement or put a little piece of carpet underneath it.
Yeah,
and,
really important.
I'll admit, too, I use these cheap, you don't do this when you're racing, but I use occasionally these cheap tire gauges that are I just found out on my air compressor, the gauge on the compressor is horribly inaccurate. It's like 10 pounds off.
Okay, so this past race weekend, Richard realized that our tire gauge was broken. And a quarter pounds make a difference. Not so much in my car, but like in the Altered where you're only running like 7, 8, 9 pounds of pressure.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty precise. And if your tire gauge doesn't read right, so your tire gauge is off by what, 5, 10 pounds? And ours was off by quarter pounds. And I guess that just... That's hilarious.
Yeah, it just goes to show something or other. I don't know quite what, but I don't know. That's fascinating stuff there. And, it's funny, speaking of tires and even wide profile, low profile street tires, there's a car parked outside that had the same tires on it. It was parked for like 20 years. And while it would roll, they were Goodyear Eagle STs, which these particular ones they don't even make anymore. They haven't made them for like a decade and a half or something. But
you sure?
thing, I got the car moving, and it was just going. It was just like I was terrified. If I went over 5 miles an hour, everything was going to blow up.
That wasn't the Mustang, was it?
It was.
I knew it because I took one look at those tires and I thought those don't look very new.
Yeah, no, they aren't. Now the tires on it, all 4 of them are new, but they're on the original Keystone Classic wheels. So for you guys that and gals, I can't believe I just said the word gals. With Keystone Classics, they date way back to the day. I think these came out of that car is so old that it seems like there should be a joke next. These came out of the Sears catalog. Those wheels did. So there you go. This car you cannot buy from Sears.
No, you have to go to Chrysler or Ram, I guess now it is.
Yeah, you know what? A cool thing that Dodge has managed to do that I wish other manufacturers would sort of keep track of. And, you get vehicle lines that do this. Some manufacturers are better than others in some models and whatever. Their trucks have looked the same. They've been identifiable for a lot of years now. And you know what? There is something to be said for that.
Yes.
How many cars can you look at now where you just have no idea what it is?
That's right. Yeah, that's really important. And, they kept that similar grille. And, and you have to have a style that can stay current through all these decades of trucks and vehicles and innovation and all these. I mean, every year that you go to the auto show, or at least when I go, it's just amazing what the new concept car looks like. It's like, what are we going to see next with these crazy cars? That truck was my favorite one, by the way, of all the ones that we test drove, because it's the smallest and the lightest of all the 3 that we test drove, and it has like, I can't remember. I think it was 390 gears in the rear, 5.7 liter engine, and it's really torquey. So it's awesome. I love that truck. If I were to get a truck, that would be the one. Other than the 3500, obviously, diesel that we have for the towing the trailer. But if I were to get a little truck, for fun.
That's right.
That would be the one I would get.
Sort of like the Little Red Truck, which is a whole nother story.
Sure.
Or the Little Red Express or whatever that thing was called. But yeah, I think even the grill on this, speaking of a brand identity, and I'll get off it after this, but I think this dates back to the 50s when the Chrysler cars, you could get a Chrysler 300, which was kind of a performance car, and I think they used that crossbar grill. And I'm not going to say that's where it came from, but it's that long ago with these cars.
I am going to trust your judgment on that because I wasn't around.
I know. Where's Bob Beck when you need him?
Yeah, really.
He'll
That's
be able to say,
true.
yeah, that would have been the 1954,
Exactly.
300H.
He's probably watching right now going, wait, calling in.
Yeah, there you go. Now, we were talking a little bit about some of the attributes of this machine, and not to go into detail, but this is the one where it's off-road ready.
Yes.
Jump in and you're rocking. Wow, there you are.
This was the Eco Diesel, which is I'm not sure the size of the engine. I don't know all the specs. You can go online and look, but it's gets amazing fuel mileage. I think it gets 30 highway miles per gallon in a truck, in a full-size truck. That's the best mileage rating ever for a full-size truck.
And it actually can move under its own power. It's
right.
not like a one-cylinder engine.
No. I think it's a 2.3 liter, a 3 liter. 3.0 liter diesel, Eco Diesel engine.
Wow, how about
Pretty cool.
that? Hey, you know what? I should point this out. This is totally off topic, Alex, and I know we got to hit a commercial break. I'm looking at, there's monitors all over the place that have chats and stuff going. And sorry, we aren't doing much updating on the FOTE tonight, you guys. It's just kind of the way it works. Lucky and the crew are back next week. But our live stream partner has a chat room as well, and Big Kahuna 55 says, Alex did an awesome job at singing the U.S. national anthem. When did you last do that?
Thank you. I sang at Streetcar Super Nationals this couple of weeks ago. I sang the Canadian national anthem first, and then the U.S. national anthem after that. And I appreciate those compliments. It's the singing at the racetrack is. I'm very honored to do it. It's not the most, voice-friendly environment, if you know what I mean, and you know what I mean, to be singing. And because I just get out of the car. Often I don't have time to warm up, but I'm people seem to be happy with my performance afterwards. So that's really nice to hear. I appreciate those compliments.
Is the same set of butterflies in any way related to what it feels like when you're at the line in your car, or is it a totally different? Because I would assume you're nervous as you're up in the tower or wherever you do your singing.
That's true. It is. It's not quite the same. I think I've got more control over the racing part than I do the singing, just because oftentimes I'm out of breath. I'm not like I'm running up the stairs to get to the tower in time, or I don't know. It's more like I have no idea how this is going to go. But with the car, it's like I know what I'm doing. I know where my burnout is. I know where my staging is. I know. It's just something that you rehearse over and over again. So It's different, but it's still fun.
Good for you. I don't know how you do it. Hey, we've got yet more interview material, more footage and photos, and there's a whole bunch to talk about. Hang tight, if you will. It's Speed Scene Live, and we're going to be right back.
For over half a century, Currie rear-end components have been twisting out the torque and taking the punishment. And the new Currie lineup is stronger than ever. Some of the world's most capable, hardest-working vehicles depend on Currie gears, which is why you can too. Street cars, hot rods and resto rods, drag cars, rock-crawling four-wheel drive vehicles, whatever you're piloting, Currie expertise and rock-solid design means the parts will do their job, so you can do yours. Check out Currie's custom rear ends, featuring a full line of upgrades, components, and installation options. The Currie Crate rear ends lineup offers ultra-strong construction on third members and carrier assemblies. And other underside parts like correct link steering systems keep your four-wheeler pointed where you want it. Add in a wide variety of solid purpose-built suspension and brake components, and you've got one tough, ready-to-go machine. Grab a hold of a Currie rear end. Talk to the experts at 714-367-2679 or view the complete line online at CurrieEnterprises.com. Everyone in the armed forces that has served to defend our great country and our freedom, all of us here in the United States of America would like to offer our sincere appreciation for all that you do and all that you've done. To every family that has made a sacrifice for us, we thank you.
M&H Tires, makers of racing tires that give you the best bite for the buck. You've paid a lot for that horsepower. Make sure you use it all. M&H Tires has the best compounds available for maximum traction. Go to mandhtires.com. That's mandhtires.com. Buy direct and save at the website and mention the Speed Scene for a 5% discount. That's right, mandhtires.com. Call them at 661-324-4773. M&H Tires has tech guys ready to answer your questions or to recommend the best tire for you, slicks or DOT. M&H Tires has it all. M&H were the first to create racing tires for muscle cars and also the first to create racing tires for sport compact cars. Legendary M&H Tires. Shop online. Mention the Speed Scene and save 5%. Get the best racing tires, great personal service, and save 5%. Go to mandhtires.com or call them at 661-324-4773. MNHTires.com.
Hi, this is Joel Gruzin, and when I am not busy working on all of these items from the House of Mouse, what do? I watch Speed Scene, and you'd better do that too.
Welcome back to Speed Scene Live TV, the #1 online drag racing TV show. Brought to you by Curry Rear Ends, M&H Tires, Hedman Hustler Headers, Aeromotive Fuel Systems, and theFote.com.
And welcome back to Speed Scene Live. It's a rainy day here in SoCal for once. I can't believe it, right?
It's so weird. I think we're going to solve a few of the drought issues here, although, not
Maybe.
very many.
I think we've got to have about 10 more of these to even put a drop in the bucket.
You
You didn't expect that, did you?
Ooh! And I don't know if any, listeners and viewers will not have noticed this because we try to keep it as quiet as possible. But this is the first time the air system in the studio has not been running in like 8 months.
Oh.
Because it's raining and cold.
Cool outside. We don't need air conditioning.
That's right, man.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'm happy for rain, so.
I know.
Totally happy.
I've got 2 cars with no tops, but they're both well covered, and as long as the clamps hold and the wind doesn't pick them up, then I'm okay.
My God.
I know, they're just outside, man.
Your garage is already full, isn't it?
Yeah, my garage it's got a half-finished Batmobile replica in it, which of course doesn't have a top either. So the other 2 with no tops, and they'll have tops. Well, one of them will. The other one will live the rest of its life with no top, and that's just the way that is. Unless I can find like a lift-off roof for a Mustang, an early Mustang. Do they make those? I don't know.
I don't know.
No.
You should call up the people from Ford Max because I am from Mopar Max.
Speaking of which,
I'm totally joking.
No, all good. Listen, under the auspices of Mopar Max, you had a chance to deal with, talk to, and interview and take a look at some cool product here.
We went to a place called AMP Research, a facility in I don't know, somewhere in SoCal. I can't remember where. I've slept since then. I don't remember. We got a really, really cool product called a Power Step installed on our truck, and it's a powered running board. And you'll see this. We've got a video of the install, and I talked to one of the engineers again. I get to talk to all these engineers about all these cool products, and you get to see how awesome it turned out.
Cool. Let's take a look on Speed Scene Live.
So, Anthony, tell us a little bit about your company.
Today we're at AMP Research, AMP Research was acquired by Lund International just over a year ago. We're now part of a larger company, Lund, which has been around since 1965. And Lund International has brands that date all the way back to 1929.
So tell us a little bit about Lund International's brands and products.
Lund International has 4 major brands: Lund, AVS, Belmore, and AMP Research. And we're one of the largest accessory suppliers in the industry. We have accessories covering the vehicle pretty much bumper to bumper.
Can you give us some examples of some of your different products?
Yeah, the products range anywhere from tonneau covers to fixed running boards, power steps, bed extenders, vent visors, hood deflectors, fender flares, floor mats. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but it just continues on and on.
AMP Research is located in Southern California. All engineering, design, and manufacturing is done at their facility. AMP works with local suppliers in Southern California for parts that they don't make in-house. The only exception is the electric motors, which are sourced from a German company. An amazing amount of Power Step kits shipped to customers every day, a sign of AMP Research's leadership in powered running boards.
They work on it throughout the day, but especially
AMP utilizes existing holes and openings. To mount the steps, only 2 small holes for locating rivets need to be drilled on each side of the vehicle. Expanding blind nuts are used to mount the steps. A reinforcing plate is inserted into the frame rail and pop riveted into place. Note the red wire attached to the reinforcing plate. If you accidentally drop the plate inside the frame rail, you'll be glad you did this. On our Ram truck, it's easier to mount the motor and linkage assembly on the passenger side with the motor cover off. The cover is easily installed after the bolts are torqued. It's important to know that AMP Research's power steps are engineered for each vehicle, make, model, and year individually. The power steps are not a universal kit with adapters. The engineering that goes into each kit is amazing and is what sets the power steps apart from other powered running boards. The kits are the lightest and strongest on the market. We know owners that have used their power steps for many years and thousands of operating cycles with no problems of any kind. The tolerances of the power step are very tightly controlled. Here, Mopar Max editor-publisher Richard Kratz ensures that the steps are fully seated in their mounts by walking and lightly bouncing on them. Okay, so the installation is complete, and let's see how it works. So what if you want the steps to stay down with the door shut, like if you're washing your truck or something?
That's easy. You just open the door, allow the steps to come down, stand on it, shut the doors, and as soon as the steps try to go up, they're going to sense your weight there and stay down. Let me show you how. Okay. And then if you want the steps to go right back up again, to reset the steps, all you need to do is open and shut the door.
Okay. Easy as that. So how much weight is each step rated for?
They're rated for 600 pounds. That's 2 300-pound loads.
And I noticed when you shut the door, there's a little bit of a delay between when the door shuts and when the step goes back under. Why is that?
Yeah, that's so when you're getting out of the vehicle, often you have something in the back of the truck, and you're going to get out of the vehicle, the steps are going to come down, and once you shut the door, the steps are going to want to try to go up, and then you'd have to get to the back door, and the steps are jumping up and down. We give that delay to give you a proper amount of time to get to the back door without the steps wanting to move on you. All right.
So what are some other features about the Power Step?
The main features, I'd say the main features is going to be where the step is actually deployed to. Having a moving running board as opposed to a fixed one allows us to bring the step down and out far enough to be a truly functional step. And any fixed board, you can't have it down that far because it might snag on things or just be too low in general. So it allows us to bring it down to a nice low functional level. And then when you're done using it, it tucks all the way up out of the way.
So it's not creating extra drag when you're driving, it's tucked out of the way, it's not in the way of airflow.
Exactly, and also it just looks a lot better when it's tucked away. You get the proper design of the truck without having that running board hanging down there.
So of course you can install this yourself, but if you don't want to install it yourself, what are your options?
There's numerous dealers across the country, and if you go to our website, which is lundinternational.com, you can see a link to our AMP Research site, and on that site you can find a dealer locator to find a dealer near you.
So what's the warranty on the Power Step?
It's got a 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty.
And that's on everything, including the motors, the electronics?
Yep, every bit of it. Just give us a call if you have any issues with it, and we'll take care of you.
Well, Anthony, I want to thank you, everyone at Lund International, and everyone here at the AMP Research Facility for your time. We're really excited.
Well, we really appreciate you guys coming down here and all your time, and we hope you enjoy your Power Step.
And look for an upcoming issue of Mopar Max magazine for more information about the Power Step.
Okay, so I am impressed. That is so cool.
It's a really, really cool step. We've lived with it for a couple of weeks now, and like the day of the install, it took like a day to get used to it. We'd open the door, and it would come down, and you'd because the way I used to get out of the truck was I would have to slide out. Like, I can't just put my foot on the ground because it's too high up. Like, I'm 5'3", I can't reach the ground without like holding on to the handle and then sliding out. And when I first got out of it, my feet hit the step, and I went, oh yeah, cool. And I can't live without it now. It's one of those things, just like the Cargo Glide, that once you have it, you don't want to give it up again. And Richard, I think, feels the same way. He doesn't have to slide out of the seat anymore either. It's awesome. That
is something. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can find one of these real quick. Here's one. Now, I think the step would work great on this Mustang we're looking at here.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those before. That's funny.
Yeah, well, that's the one parked in front of my house with no top. And
oh my God,
that would assist greatly in getting in the car.
Totally.
Yeah.
It totally would. I'm not sure if they make it for that application, but as I said in the video, every step is tailored to each make and model, so it's not just like one size fits all. And it's important to mention also that all of these units are plug and play, meaning that it's just a harness that plugs into your OBD2 port. You don't have to do any cutting or splicing of original factory wiring. So it's the best thing ever. I mean, it's so cool.
I'm assuming the OBD2 port, without knowing a thing about it, I know that's where data comes from if you have a reader that senses what your engine is doing and stuff. But apparently there's some port on an OBD2, on the plug or something that probably senses where the interior lights come on. Because I was assuming that's what made it work.
Actually, close. It's when it knows when the door is open. The little icon on your dash that tells you when your door. I mean, not newer cars anyway.
Yeah.
That tells you when a door is open. That's what it plugs into.
Yeah.
Also, there's little lights that they install on the bottom of the step that light it up when it comes out too. And you can't see it at all when it's not deployed.
I noticed that.
It's completely tucked away.
You guys had the camera over at the side of the truck, and you could not see it when it's up under there. That's very cool.
It's invisible. It's so cool.
Yeah, man, you could put a set of those on this vehicle, which is?
This is the ProMaster, I believe it is. PowerMaster.
Is that a...
it's a commercial van.
I have not seen this before. Is this new?
It is new. It's a new model from Ram. It's so tall inside that I can't even touch the ceiling. Like standing up with my hands above my head, I can't even touch it. It's huge in there.
Well, that's pretty cool because you see some of those Sprinter vans, which are Chrysler products.
Yeah.
And wow, this looks way more cool than the Sprinter van does.
Yeah, I actually didn't drive this one. Richard did, so I can't speak as from experience of driving it, but. It's very moderately priced, and you get a lot of storage capacity, and it hauls pretty good. So
nice. Oh,
there I am.
Look at that.
So you can see that you could fit a whole house in there if you really wanted to.
That's nice, man. Hey, look at these guys. We got some familiar faces here.
So you can see Jason Line in the back, Tony Schumacher, Matt Hagan, and John Force.
Now, what was this assemblage for?
This was the NHRA press conference before the Las Vegas Toyota National Race. This actually was held at the top of the Stratosphere Hotel in Vegas. We got invited to go. And basically all the drivers in contention for the championship get to go and talk to the press about, the upcoming races and the end of the season and stuff. And this photo I took actually right after Matt Hagan was done giving his 2 cents about his points. He came into this race with a lead, I believe, but not very much over John Force. And they were... the way Matt Hagan basically just said, Force just lost his crew chief. We got to do this, this, and this, and this. We can't let them breathe. We have to step on their throats and make sure we don't give them any room. Can't take them lightly just because, their team shifted a little bit. It was very, very interesting. And you can see...
Yeah, look at
Matt's
Force.
just handing over, okay, your turn to speak, and John's just like, wait, what?
Yeah, I don't want to talk.
But I mean, John Force, we've got to give him credit for 16-time world champion. He's started out, he didn't have family money or whatever. Some of these drivers, everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
But John really worked his way up from the bottom. And he talks about that all the time. But
yeah, he definitely did.
And this is a photo from the last race at Pomona right before the first round of eliminations, and obviously Matt went on to win the race and win the championship that day.
And not in that vehicle.
No, that's the tow vehicle. Yes.
Yeah.
Little pit cart there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh!
I believe this is the No, this is the final. Yes, this is the final race where
Beautiful shot. Who can we thank for that?
That's Richard.
Man, that guy.
Yep.
Wow.
Got a great photo.
Hey, look at you guys.
Yeah. Number one.
That's right.
That's I think his name's Greg, one of the crew guys. The crew is, it's amazing how much work they do and how much work they put in during a race season. I mean, it's a long season from February to November. This is the new Mopar funny car body that we're going to be seeing next year that they actually unveiled at SEMA.
Huh.
And that was just kind of floating around the pits on Monday morning after the races were all over. Trash in the pits and stuff.
Yeah, the day after the day. And here you are in the altered, I'm assuming.
Yeah, this was taken, I think, this last weekend at the Las Vegas Turkey Nationals Thanksgiving race. I'm getting ready to do yet another round of eliminations. It's funny, this is one of the only races of the year where it's 4 separate races. There's 4 days and it's a new race every day. So it's tiring, to say the least. I mean, 4 o'clock wake-up calls. There's the Magnum, of course, and it's dialed 696, but yeah, okay, fine. It was 8th mile, but no, the Magnum isn't going 6s in the quarter yet, but
it
maybe
looks
someday.
it. Look at that.
Yeah, wheels are off the ground. Look at that.
Man,
1073.
Am I wrong? I think I remember a point in this car's history early on when you were already racing it where you couldn't pull the wheels off the ground.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a recent thing. Getting the wheels off the ground was a pretty big feat in my book because, you know, it's amazing. The car weighs, as I said earlier, 4,280. Hoping to take some weight out this winter, but it's a pretty cool thing to see that thing launch that hard.
Yeah, it is. A couple of guys here at the Molly factory.
Yeah, I got to visit Molly. A couple of different Molly facilities, one in Farmington Hills and one in St. John's, Michigan, where they make over 250,000 piston rings a day.
No way.
Per day, they make more than 250,000 rings.
I'm assuming perhaps then they're an original equipment supplier or something?
Oh, yeah.
That's incredible.
Basically, like, pretty much every car that you see on the road has Molly, at least Molly parts, probably Molly rings.
See, I did not know that.
It was incredible to look around that like, imagine going to, like, a shopping mall and just seeing racks and racks and racks of rings everywhere you look. It's just astounding how many rings they make. And it's not like it's just, thrown together. They have a very specific process for which rings are manufactured for what car and where they go, and it was really, really cool. I want to thank Bill McKnight for getting all that set up, and
wow,
that was a really cool experience.
Here's a car that might have been running because of its period, I don't know, Perfect Circle rings or one of those older brands of piston rings. Whose car is this?
This is David Parks owns it now, but it was Wally Parks' old car, and of course that's David Parks' dad. And this car is going to be doing some racing, I think, either at Bonneville or maybe El Mirage, I think, later this year. Maybe next year. And I'm standing next to Judy Lilly, by the way, who was on the show that I was last on, of course, Miss Mighty Mopar.
That's right.
We got to sign some autographs together, and that was pretty cool. It's in the Hedman booth, of course. Hedman Hustler. You can see their little logo in the back.
Yes, indeed. And, the whole idea there, that car's design dates back to, I think, 57 or so. But that same body, this was, I think 60 was the last year for the body. But that was in the Stephen King movie, Christine.
Was it?
Yeah, it was the car, not that car, but that body, that Plymouth Fury body.
Yeah.
Was, that was the one, the evil car that had a life of its own, a mind of its own. But,
wow, I didn't even know that was a movie. But
yeah, there you go. Hey, speaking of things that go fast, which we were just speaking of.
Okay, so.
Shall we take a look at this run?
Yes, this is in the left lane. I'm racing the Altered, and in the right lane is none other than Pro Stock racer Vincent Nobile. Believe it or not,
you can do it.
He came all the way from New York to go bracket racing with all of us, which is pretty cool. I mean, a pro racer still wants to do some bracket racing now and then.
That is pretty neat.
And I saw him the night before watching some other racing, and I'm like, "You're gonna race tomorrow?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do some bracket racing," because he's New York. And I'm like, "Cool, okay, cool." So of course I get to race him, and you can see here, unfortunately, my win light does not come on. He won. And guess what happened? He treed me.
What?
Vincent Nobile, I guess when you get paid to leave well, when you get paid to cut good lights all the time in pro stock, then you're probably going to do it no matter what car you're racing. I really wanted to win. Sorry, Vincent, but I really wanted to beat you in this race. And unfortunately, I cut my worst light of the weekend. I was pretty good on the tree for the whole weekend before that, and I just happened to cut the slowest light of the weekend on that pass and ended up breaking out, and he won. I was so mad.
One must wonder, had you not been treed, well, I don't, there's a million variables.
Exactly. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's what we end up doing after all of our losses. But of course, he was very nice about it. He shook my hand before the round, and it's not like nobody likes to lose, but I'm not one of that's going to throw my helmet or something after a race. But
I know
it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool race.
Well, that's cool. And plus, is the Ultra going to be run any more this fall? I know we're deep into December now. Even in Southern California, things slow down a little bit.
I mean, it's possible we could do some testing, but that car is pretty well set up. I don't really need to do, it's not like the Magnum where we're constantly evolving it.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe Winter Nationals, I'm not sure. Definitely in PSCA, you'll see that car running.
Can't wait to see it run again, as well as the Magnum. And Alex, we're out of time already.
I can't believe it. It's 7 o'clock already.
I know. We were kind of talking about, okay, we're going to do the, we're going to catch up on your entire life for the last 5 weeks. When do you sleep? And do you do any of the modeling and all the other things that you do?
That's funny you ask. I'm going to be at the PRI show next week, and I'll be appearing in both UMI Performance on Friday and Saturday, and Molly Aftermarket on Saturday morning. So you can see me there.
Get some sleep first,
yeah,
I hope.
Maybe someday.
All right. That old song.
Are you going anywhere?
You know what? I'm not. I'm going to hold down I'll batten down the hatches while the rain comes down, and there you go. Just kind of
chillax.
Yeah.
For the winter.
You have to pick me a good car show and throw some cars in it. Who knows?
Perfect.
Most of it's still trying to get one rolling enough and good looking enough to get back on the circuit. You know how it goes.
Sure.
There's always something to do. People, you drive up and people say, "Hey, that's a beautiful car," and my stock response is now, "Yeah, it'll be great when it's done." Are they ever, though?
Which never happens.
I know.
Always.
It's true. They're never done. And that's okay. Keeps us out of trouble.
Exactly.
Different kind of trouble. Hey, coming up next, the encore presentation of the show. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight for Speed Scene Live. And Alex, let's do this again soon. What do you think?
Let's.
All right. Stay tuned. The encore presentation of this show comes up next at SpeedSceneLive.com.
Speed Scene Live TV, the #1 online motorsports TV show. Brought to you by Curry Racing Rear Ends, M&H Tires, Hedman Hustler Headers, Aeromotive Fuel Systems, and TheFoe.com.